morning, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. It's Friday morning. Hope you're having a great day and then getting outside to enjoy that beautiful weather. Let's take a live look at conditions outside our Fox 29 studios. It's a bright sunny day, nice temperature, and not too humid right now. So we're looking forward to, I believe this is our second perfect 10 in 2 days, according to Fox 29 Weather Authority, and we should have at least one more in store tomorrow. So we'll get you the full forecast in a little bit. In the meantime, I want to get you to a developing story right now. Our Jenny Joyce has been following this one for us on Good Day Philadelphia this morning. Officials are trying to solve a murder on the main line. They say a Playboy model was strangled in her Montgomery County apartment. Jenny Joyce is live outside the Cambridge Square condominiums, and she was live this morning reporting from outside the Cambridge Square condominiums in Ardmore.
Good morning. Yeah, so Christina Kraft had reported a burglary here at her Ardmore home last weekend. Now, just 4 days later, she turned up dead. Police say that they discovered her body after performing a welfare check on her condo Wednesday night. They found her lying dead in her bedroom. The 36-year-old was a former Playboy model. This is a picture from her Facebook page. Investigators say last Friday she was seen at the Sofitel Hotel in Center City having drinks. Then Saturday morning she woke up to find her apartment ransacked. Investigators tell us through surveillance footage they were able to track down a suspect to a home in Southwest Philly where they recovered her stolen items but did not find the person who did it. 4 days later, Christina Kraft is dead, strangled. Right now, it's unclear if there is a connection between the burglary and her murder. Detectives spent the day yesterday collecting evidence and surveillance footage from nearby buildings. While police say the community shouldn't be worried, of course, some people are.
We as a community have to be more vigilant. There's people walking around that, are strangers to everybody. You just got to be more vigilant.
Surprise. It's a very nice residential neighborhood. You have to be pretty well off to live on this side.
We're not safe anywhere, but we got to be vigilant everywhere. And we got to speak up and speak out, ask questions. Not accused, but, who are you here to say?
2 years ago, Kraft's name popped up in the New York Post, charged with assaulting a New York restaurant manager. The charges, though, were ultimately dropped. Police say that Kraft just moved into Cambridge Square condos, so not many people in this area knew her. Our Chris O'Connell spoke to the woman's attorney last night. He said that, of course, he was shocked. He was saddened to hear this news. He describes Kraft as a really nice person. Back to you guys.
That was Jenny Joyce reporting for us from Montgomery County. Next story, let's get you to this one. The body of Philadelphia police and the FBI have just found the body of Shamari Taylor, the son of a former state representative. No one had seen him since 2006. Authorities discovered the body of the state representative's son 12 years after an abduction. Detectives from the Philadelphia Police Homicide Unit and investigators from the FBI found him in North Philadelphia Tuesday. A forensic examination using dental records confirmed the remains were Taylor. According to news accounts, Taylor and his girlfriend were abducted from their car in Overbrook Park by a group of several men in a van in August 2006. The reports say the two were tied up and taken to a warehouse. The woman was released hours later, but Taylor never turned up.
Extremely frustrating and devastating, and I love my son from the bottom of my heart.
I remember that investigation very vividly. It was 1 year before I was assigned to the homicide unit, and it was always working trying to figure out what happened to him. Certainly after a passage of time, it was assumed and presumed that he had been murdered, but to still be able to identify where his remains were buried was really important as well.
Again, Philadelphia Police and FBI announced yesterday they found the body of Shamari Taylor, the son of a former state representative. Hopefully that brings some closure to the family.
It will be DJ1, will be the Casey.
Okay. That's Kevin, our assignment manager, giving me some information about an upcoming live event. Let's get you to another story. 4 people are in the hospital. Police are still looking for whoever shot them last night in Oxford Circle. 2 17-year-olds as well as a 21 and 23-year-old were hurt in the shooting. This occurred on the 5800 block of Oakland Street around 9 p.m. last night. The 23-year-old was shot 6 times. No word on his condition this morning. The other victims are in stable condition. Dozens turned out in Philadelphia last night to mourn the tragic death of a beloved City Hall worker. Philadelphia police say Linda Rios' husband shot and killed her, then turned a gun on himself last week. Sadly, I think we had Sky Fox over the scene as the discovery was being made, and police were investigating at the scene.
Dozens of friends and co-workers who, like he
her
and his
brother,
family,
Rick
are
Schaefer, had an
grieving the
emotional
loss of
message for her
37-year-old
grieving friends
Linda
and
Rios.
co-workers.
It's hard for us as a family to put into words the way we feel. There's no words can replace our sister. Our hearts are broke.
Her brother pleaded with the crowd to do something to prevent domestic violence. The couple leaves behind 4-year-old twin daughters. An Amnesty program in Montgomery County. Parents who owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in child support will have a chance to surrender without worrying about being arrested. It's all part of a week-long amnesty program organized by county officials. Some 230 people owe a collective $3 million. For next week only, parents who have warrants for delinquent child support payments can turn themselves in and make new payment arrangements.
The hope is that we give them the opportunity to make good on this obligation, this court-ordered obligation, and hopefully reunify with their children and provide that very important financial as well as emotional support.
The highest amount owed by one person is more than $460,000. The amnesty period is August 27th through the 31st. After that, the Warrants Division will go out and round up offenders who haven't paid. The biggest hurricane in 20 years is barreling down on the Hawaiian Islands right now, and the worst could still be on the way. Here's a live look at Hurricane Lane as it barrels towards Hawaii. It has been downgraded to a Category 3 storm, but is still expected to bring high winds and up to 30 inches of rain. About 19 inches of rain had fallen in just 24 hours, officials said. Forecasters expect it to weaken later today as it heads towards Honolulu. FEMA officials warned that even as the storm slows down, the risk for more severe flooding goes up. Here at home, we're expecting some nice conditions over the next couple days. Let's get you a look at some of the weather elements so you can get a live, let's take first a live look outside our studios. There's our Fox 29 studio outside camera. This is, you're looking at Market Street towards the intersection with 3rd Street. Beautiful sunny skies, blue sky. Today, people outside getting to enjoy that. Here's another live look. I believe this is Wilmington, Delaware. A little bit of a haze there, but not too bad overall. That radar is in motion, but you don't see too much popping up there. Not much rain to speak of, or showers. Basically nothing in our area right now. Here are your current temperatures. I think we've warmed up a little bit since these. It looks like we're at 75 right now in Philadelphia. Let's get you the current conditions in the city. 75 right now, dew point of 59 degrees. Winds out of southeast at 3 miles per hour. Conditions for a few more locales here. Doylestown 73, winds are calm, Winds are calm in several places. Out of the east-southeast at 3 miles an hour in the city. Calm elsewhere. A little bit warmer down at the shore points, 78 right now in Atlantic City. Not much of a heat index to speak of right now, although it is a little bit warmer, a few ticks warmer, feels a few ticks warmer down at those shore points where the sun is shining, and a little bit of humidity creeping in. Some northeast temperatures for you. And let's get you your temperatures across the U.S. 80s in Florida already. 80s along the Gulf Coast and in Vegas and Phoenix. Cooler in the Pacific Northwest. Midwest, 60s and 70s. Boston matching us right now, 75. Typing out a quick message there. Let's look again at the hurricane. Pressure's down to 959 millibars. The storm's slowed down. It's only moving north at 5 miles per hour. Winds 115 miles per hour at this time. I believe that's still Category 3 strength. And it's creeping closer to, yes, it indicates Category 3 right there. It's supposed to weaken to a Category 2, then a Category 1. But it's nearing the Hawaiian Islands still and bringing lots of rain with it. The report earlier we said 19 inches of rain some parts in 24 hours, up to 30 perhaps before all said and done. Let's look at your 7-day forecast from the Fox 29 Weather Authority. Mike Masco was with us this morning, made this forecast. We've got a blue sky beauty this morning. 85 degrees for a high, perfect 10. We've had overnight temperatures in the 60s, been comfortable sleeping weather. Saturday we expect to be as nice, 83 degrees, another perfect 10. Sunday things turn warmer, get to 87, still good enough for a 10. Monday, it's hot and humid at 90 degrees. You see those overnight temperatures starting to creep back up into the upper 70s. Tuesday, hot and humid, 93. Wednesday, heat wave if we get those 3 straight 90s, 93 again. See a little bit of rain creeping in there, and then showers on Thursday with a high of 88 degrees. All right. Thought we were going to have an in-station announcement there. Oh, there we go. Let's get you a report here from Fox's Doug Luzader, reporting on the latest in politics. Attorney General Jeff Sessions may have had enough. He's firing back at the boss, the president. Will it cost him his job? As Doug reports from Washington this morning, this is a very complicated relationship.
Some presidents have been really close to their attorney generals. Not in this instance. This has been a bizarre relationship to watch play out. This has been souring month after month, and this thing may be near its breaking point.
I told Donald Trump we need to make America great again.
There was a time when President Trump had no more loyal supporter. Now it's Trump versus Sessions.
I said, what kind of a man is this?
The president is seething, still. It's been almost a year and a half since Jeff Sessions recused himself from the Russia probe because of his role in the Trump campaign, and the president hasn't forgotten.
Jeff Sessions recused himself, which he shouldn't have done, or he should have told me. Even my enemies say that Jeff Sessions should have told you that he was going to recuse himself, and then you wouldn't have put him in.
And that finally prompted a response from Sessions. While I am Attorney General, the actions of the Department of Justice will not be improperly influenced by political considerations. I demand the highest standards, and where they are not met, I take action. So will Sessions be fired and replaced by someone who might try to rein in Special Counsel Robert Mueller? The problem the president faces is the Senate, which would have to confirm a replacement in a highly charged atmosphere during an election year. And some Republicans think it would send a terrible message.
And the idea that Jeff Sessions might be fired because he's not a political hack is a very, very bad idea. It's a bad idea for the Constitution. It's a bad idea for public trust. It's a bad idea for the Department of Justice. And frankly, it's a really bad idea for the President of the United States.
So where does it go from here? The weird thing about this is the fact that after all of this took place yesterday, Sessions went to the White House to meet with the president to talk about a prison reform of all things. So they are still working together despite this kind of harsh rhetoric coming from the president.
And in addition to harsh rhetoric, it continued this morning. Here's one of the president's tweets. He said, the Department of Justice will not be improperly influenced by political considerations. That was him quoting Jeff Sessions. And then he said, addressed him directly. Jeff, this is great, what everyone wants. So look into all of the corruption on the other side, including deleted emails, Comey lies and leaks, Mueller conflicts, McCabe, Strzok, Page, or he went on to say, show you the start of the next one. FISA abuse, Christopher Steele and his phony and corrupt dossier, the Clinton Foundation, illegal surveillance of Trump campaign, Russian collusion by Dems, and so much more. Open up the papers and documents without redaction? Come on, Jeff, you can do it. The country is waiting. So there's the president responding to and continuing his back and forth very publicly with the U.S. Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. Let's tell you a little bit about an event that's going to be occurring on Election Day. Lyft is offering free rides on Election Day. Can't get to the polls this election? Lyft wants to help. The ride-hailing service will offer discounted rides to voters during midterm elections. And voters in underserved communities will get free rides. Research shows many people don't vote because they can't get to the polls. The midterm elections are Tuesday, November 6th. Starbucks kicks off a new venture to encourage volunteerism. Fox Business Network's Tracy Carrasco has more in today's Business Outlook.
Good morning. Stocks fell Thursday as trade talks between the U.S. and China ended with no signs of progress. The Dow down 76 points. Google says it scrubbed dozens of YouTube channels in addition to a handful of blogs on its Blogger platform and Google Plus accounts. All 56 accounts were found to be spreading misinformation supporting Iran's state broadcasting arm. Starbucks launched a new program where some employees will be paid to split their time, working 20 hours in the Starbucks store and 20 hours with nonprofit groups. This is a 6-month test with 36 employees from 13 different cities, collectively providing more than 17,000 hours of community service. That's business. For more, log on to foxbusiness.com. In New York, I'm Tracy Carrasco.
Well, have a good weekend.
You too. That's Greg. He's one of our photographers. Family helping New Jersey woman get a kidney. When you need a life-saving organ transplant, sometimes your family has to get creative. Let's get you the video here. Janet DiGirolamo's family says they'll give you the shirt off their backs to get the word out. Janet suffers from renal disease, the final stage of chronic kidney failure. Since last November, she has been forced to spend 3 long nights each week in 6-hour sessions on a kidney dialysis machine.
Our whole life was turned upside down because it revolves around the kidney, the dialysis treatment.
So her husband Charles came up with an idea. He printed up 100 t-shirts for family and friends bearing the message, Janet is in need of a kidney for life, and his cell phone number. Then he hit the streets to get the message in front of as many potential kidney donors as possible. Janet is already on the kidney donor waiting list at Temple University Hospital. Wish her the best in getting that kidney care that she needs. Hopefully a donor steps forward, sees the t-shirts, and comes forward. Prince and Aretha Franklin have more in common than just legendary voices. Both died without a will. An expert joined Good Day Philadelphia this morning to talk about the important process. Here is that report.
Lesters are going to be there, of course, and we're going to have services for her coming up next week. It's going to be a Friday. We're going to have Jennifer Hudson, Stevie Wonder, Faith Hill, just to name a very, very few.
Can I just also remind you that Patti LaBelle was at the Dell last night. She recorded her tribute. They're going to play it at the funeral.
So, of course, we lost her to pancreatic cancer last week, 76 years old, and it's going to be at the Greater Grace Temple in Detroit, her hometown, of course, on Friday.
Well, meantime, we started thinking about this. Aretha Franklin is just one of several celebrities who have died without leaving family members. I think she had 4 children, Aretha, without a will. Prince didn't have a will. I remember back when James Brown died, James Brown didn't have a will. Amy Winehouse, of course, she died of a drug overdose in her 20s, so maybe it's more realistic that she didn't have a will. But celebrity after celebrity and everyday people dying without a will. So what is the planning process like? Amanda DiCello is here, estate lawyer at Cozen O'Connor, right?
That's correct.
They're famous when it comes to money matters.
So why don't famous people do it and why don't regular people do it? Why are we not getting ready and taking this important step and planning for something that's inevitable?
Well, for those of us that practice in estate and trust law, I guess I would say a lot of it's speculation as to why they're not doing it. I think it's the idea that they have either more time, there's always more time available to do it, or perhaps they don't want to face the issue of death. It's a very difficult thing to think about, particularly when you're talking about family members and who they would like to have receive their assets when they pass away. It's complicated, and people would rather not address it than actually sit down and address it.
So number one, don't put it off. All right, I'm going to drop a bomb here. I don't have a will. I have 2 daughters, 3 grandchildren, and I don't have a will. And I think the reason I haven't done it, living will or whatever they call it, I don't want to talk about myself dying. So I should think more in these terms, I think. Maybe you agree, Amanda. Think about my children being taken care of and not about my own death.
Exactly.
Don't be selfish.
Exactly. The discussion about death during the estate planning process really is quite minimal. It's more about the legacy that you're leaving afterwards. And when people realize that it's not painful to have those discussions with estate planning counsel, they usually move the process forward quickly.
Well, and some people may think, well, I don't have a lot of money, so why do I need to get a will and do it? But there's so many important things. I think about it. We did a will of my husband when we first got married to figure out things like who would get our children if we died. I mean, important questions like that.
Is this before the kids came along?
We did. Maybe the kids were young. It was early in our marriage after we had our first baby. What are the things we need to be tackling and when we, do our will?
Well, usually important life events like marriage and birth are reasons why people will come to estate planning attorneys. What you want to think about is what's the legacy? What's the plan? What do you want to leave behind when you've passed away? And oftentimes clients will come to me without actually having thought that through yet, and they need to take sufficient time to really contemplate that. Who is to receive when you pass away?
Well, when you say consider family dynamics, what does that mean?
Well, it's not just important to decide who's going to take, it's also important to decide who's going to be in control of the assets when you pass away. For example, an executor is the person that handles the estate when you're deceased. Your estate plan may incorporate trustees of trust for perhaps your children. Those are leading roles, and you want to think about who's the appropriate person or what is the appropriate entity to serve in that capacity.
The people that would be, responsible and such. Is this expensive? Because people get really daunted. I don't want to spend a lot of money on something
It's often not expensive. People are often surprised at how a simple estate plan can be very reasonably priced. If you have significant assets and you have a complicated estate, then the expertise and the cost of the attorney should be commensurate, however. But most people are surprised at the cost being very reasonable at the end of the day.
And so I probably don't do it because I think it's going to be lengthy and hard and crazy. You would do it for me?
I'd be happy to do it for you.
And how long would that take?
It would take an initial meeting, perhaps another meeting afterwards, not necessarily a second meeting. And then you would look at the drafts. We would sort of talk on the phone on occasion, and we would finalize everything, and you'd sign.
Do I have to decide which daughter I like better? Anything like that?
Well, whatever you say is attorney-client privilege.
Oh, good.
That way,
Your favorite track? Bob, you're out. Please. If I bring him up, just throw me out of your office. Amanda, good to see you.
Thank you
nice
so
to
much.
see you. Thanks for having
Come
me.
back anytime. You're really good.
I'd be happy to.
It was your first time on TV. You never would have known that.
Wait, cutest
Thank
part,
you.
when you got a teeny bit nervous, I could hear the Texas come out. So our Alex Holly would definitely appreciate that. We got a little bit of our Houston there.
Right,
That's
you
great.
did.
Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we love.
Again, that was Mike Jark with an admission there that he currently does not have his a will in place for his 2 daughters and grandkids, but maybe he'll be able to get some advice there from our guest on Good Day to Philadelphia this morning on how to proceed there. I want to let you know we're waiting for a live event to begin very shortly. This will be Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania. He is discussing, he's calling for passage of Speak Up to Protect Every Abused Kid Act. He's going to be outlining that legislation and demanding that Congress vote to swiftly pass the measure, which would strengthen standards relating to mandatory reporting of child abuse and make it clear that suspected child abuse or neglect must be reported directly to the appropriate state authorities. That's according to a news release he put forth about the event. He's going to be joined by Pennsylvania Executive Deputy Attorney General Jennifer Selber and representatives from Public Citizens for Children and Youth and Mission Kids Child Advocacy Center. So once that event gets underway, we will bring that to you. In the meantime, let's show you another clip from Good Day Philadelphia this morning. This was an event that occurred right outside our doors. It's back to school time, and as always, Barbers Who Care are giving back in a big way. It was all getting started this morning right outside Fox 29. Let's show you some footage from that event.
And back again.
Yes.
How many years have we been doing
This is year number 9.
9.
Year number 9.
And Allison from United Healthcare is here as well. Allison, good to see you
So
again.
glad to be here, Mike Jarek.
Remind us what this is about, how to get started.
Hey, this is Barbers Who Care and United Healthcare. The barbers are going to have our Philly students looking good. United Healthcare is going to have them feeling good, and Fox 29 is going to get them fired up to go back to school, right?
Well, we're doing a lot of haircuts today, till 10 o'clock this morning.
We'll be here until 10 o'clock this morning, but this Sunday, our goal is to hit 400 little kids. We want to make sure that everybody has a self-esteem that's super high when going back to school. And on behalf of 17 Days of Fashion and Barbers Who Care, we want to make sure that everybody leave here with a higher self-esteem. And on behalf of AT&T and 76ers, they've been supporting us, but making sure that the kids we got some free sneakers we're giving away, dental screenings we're doing this weekend, book bags we're giving away, and gift cards.
The idea is look nice and fresh first day of school,
definitely
right?
so.
It does help somebody's
When somebody has a higher
self-esteem.
self-esteem, it makes them easier to be able to learn within school.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Can anybody come by here till 10?
Anybody can come. If you got an ID, school ID.
Yeah, school ID.
Somebody was like 40 said they wanted a free haircut. I was like,
Oh my God.
I thought I was next.
Let's, well, do you have female barbers though, don't you?
We have female barbers that will be in attendance because we have over 25 barbers going to be helping out. Like I said, from 9 to 4 this Sunday at the West Philadelphia YMCA, we're going to make sure that a bunch of little kids receive dental screenings, free book bags, some gift cards to help them raise their self-esteem and look great for going
Is
back
the
to
dental
school.
thing new?
Yes, it is. That's
Yeah.
a new aspect because we want to
Great
make sure
idea.
that comprehensively whole the look to raise their self-esteem.
Okay. By the way, you're pretty darn famous for your haircuts now. Who are you cutting these days?
Well, just to finish up with filming a Creed 2.
You know Michael B. Jordan?
We're doing a commercial tomorrow for Creed 2, which will be out November 21st.
Wait a minute, Michael's in town?
I'm going out of town.
Are you going out to him?
I'm going out of town.
LA.
I'm going out of town. Well, we did shoot everything here in Philadelphia for the Creed 2.
Give me some. What about the Sixers?
Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, 2 marquee individuals, Markelle Fultz. Most of them, the 76ers, are my clients.
What is the go-to cut now?
A fade.
The fade?
People come in my barbershop, hey, can you give me the Ben Simmons?
Because he's real cropped on the side, right?
Closely cropped on the side with a nice little fade.
How about Joel? He likes to go high.
We do a little small temple taper and a neck taper and everything else he wants to keep natural. He likes to embrace his heritage.
Oh, I love that guy. I'm telling you. Have you ever done Allison's hair?
Not yet.
I'm
No?
next.
You're
I'm
next.
That's right. Come out and see us, right? The West Philly Y.
Why does United do this?
You know, United believes that looking good is great, feeling good is better. So United Healthcare has been partnering with Barbers Who Care for years to bring fresh, healthy smiles on the first day of school in Philadelphia.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you,
I love
guys.
you guys. Anthony, where'd Anthony go? Get over here, because 17 Days of Fashion
It is going down. We're closing out. That's right. We're closing out this Sunday, Barbers Who Care. We love Philadelphia. We love giving back to the community. Thank you, Allison, Kenny Donkey.
Yeah.
We love you.
What's with the beard?
Oh, Kenny Duncan. What could I say?
I like it.
Thank you.
I like it. All right, Karen.
They look so good. Thank you, Mike. I love this program, so you can go over there to the Y on Sunday. Look at these kids that are already getting ready. Our first days of school have already started. So share your pictures during this whole time. I love this one. Shannon Lopez, thank you for sending this in. First day of school. Here's her kids, Dave, Nate, Jave, and Josh. Adorable. Nice haircuts there. So you can always send our pictures in over the next 2 weeks. Fox 29, good day.
Hello again. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. As I mentioned, we are getting very close to the beginning of a news conference being held by Senator Bob Casey. Get you a live look at that. This is going to be held at the Senator's office in Philadelphia. Again, he'll be calling for passage of a Speak Up to Protect Every Abused Kid Act. And he's expected to speak shortly. This may be the introduction, so let's listen in right now.
I know he gets here.
That's correct.
He's hard to miss. He's hard to miss. So this guy.
Stood up. What do you think he is? So really quickly.
Somebody stood up.
It's my husband.
How would you know? That's so funny. That's the guy. He was down the end of the hall. I almost went up to him. Stood up and I said, "Oh, he's excited."
Sorry. Husband is out. I'm heading down here shortly. Over this way, so I can keep it posted.
While we're waiting for that to start, let's show you, take a look at some weather cameras from around our region. Here they come now. Start in Wilmington, Delaware, and then let's go back to the top of the alphabet here. Oh, did that a little too fast. There we go. Now, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Sun is shining. Some folks out on the beach already, taking advantage of the sunny weather. This shot's from Cape May, New Jersey. There's a look at the Music Pier in Ocean City. Good crowd on the boardwalk already for a Friday morning. I love our time-lapse cameras of sunrises that we have available to us. We'll try and work some of those more into the broadcast here. We use some for storms. We use some for sunrises, sunsets. Really beautiful shots we can get. This is Reading, Pennsylvania. Nice shot of the city there with the hills or mountains in the background. A lot of train enthusiasts who actually have reached out to the website to tell us that they like to watch the trains roll by in this shot. There's the Ben Franklin Parkway. Pull up some weather conditions for you while we're here. 75, dew point 59, winds out of the southeast at 3 miles an hour. Now you're looking at Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. A little bit of haze down there at the moment. Now you're looking at Wildwood, glancing over one of the ride piers there. You can see some folks out on those long Wildwood beaches in the background. And we're back to Wilmington. While we're waiting for the Senator Casey event to get underway, let's show you a couple other things. Let's take a quick look at the stock market. The market's up 142 right now. Looks like we're just about at a session high, about a half percentage point up on the New York Stock Exchange. Dow Jones Industrial is at 25,796 at the moment. Fox Business News is reporting that stocks and crude oil climbing as Powell says the economy is strong. There has been a series of positive economic news this week. I believe it was the S&P is on its longest bull run in a long time. Looking at what Fox Business has been posting recently. One scoop recently filed by Fox Business reporter Charles Gasparino is that sources tell Fox Business that J.P. Morgan is sitting out the Tesla drama after advising the Saudis on the purchase of its stake in Tesla. That may change, but as of now, the nation's premier bank is content on sitting out the drama. Of course, they'll be continuing to follow that story. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is also going to tackle some key issues in a high-profile speech Friday. And let's get you to one of our other big stories this morning. Hurricane Lane still bearing down on the Hawaiian Islands as a Category 3 storm, moving north at 5 miles per hour, pressure at 959 millibars. Expected to weaken to a Category 2 and then a Category 1 and make that left turn there you see on the cone of uncertainty. Hopefully Hawaii can dodge a landfall. I believe we reported earlier the Hawaiian Islands have only had about 2 landfalls in the last 30 years, 35 years. So our thoughts and best to the people of Hawaii as they deal with torrential downpours, upwards of 19 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. Could see totals of 30 inches from this storm, some parts of the islands. Looks like it's going to get pretty close to the Big Island there before it's expected to move to the west. We'll keep following that for you. Show you a live look again at that Senator Casey event. We're waiting to begin. while we wait for that, let's show you our Hank Flynn was out at Eastern State Penitentiary this morning, having some fun. He's got some information for you too. If you're into acting or scaring people, he's got some information about a way that you can get in on the action at Eastern State Penitentiary.
It's still summer, but shortly it will become fall, and we'll get ready for all the creepy Halloween activities. And I love over at the Eastern State Penitentiary, they had that horrifying show. Hank Flynn is there right now, or maybe we should call him Lurch. Hey, Hank.
Britt and Kia are putting the finishing touches on me, and now it's time for me to audition, as you can, here at Eastern State Penitentiary tonight from 6 to 7 and also October 3rd. But this is the Startle Scare. Yes!
All right, Hank.
All right, it's a Startle Scare, and this is Luis Santiago, the casting director here for Terror Behind the Walls. How was that as a Startle Scare?
That was pretty good, but we got some few pointers we could give to you.
Okay, how's it done?
All right, here, our first demonstration.
Whoa!
As you can see.
It's very physical.
Yeah, it's very physical. Full body. You want to get in there and retract. Get in there and retract.
Okay.
All right, our next actor.
Pay attention if you're auditioning here. These are tips. Oh my!
Okay, as you can see.
I know, it's a little, she's quiet for a minute. That's the thing, is to suck them in with the quiet,
yes,
right?
We want that suspense. Okay. Here at Starbucks, we're going to have all different types of scares, so a little bit of everything. Our next actor. As you can see,
I kept waiting on her with the startle, though. Maybe we should pull the trigger in a second. No? Oh, she's
a little bit of quiet. Just a little sneaky,
Yep. Oh my!
And now we got the full startle scare. In your face, aggressive, high energy. That's what we look for here at
Okay, so that's what you're looking for. Now, if you show up tonight, should you be in makeup all gussied up?
You don't need to be in makeup.
You shouldn't be.
We're going to break away from that for a moment and take you to the Senator Casey event, which is getting underway right now. We'll come back to that for you.
Abused Kid Act, the Speak Up Act that we're going to talk about today, seeks to close these gaps so that every child is safe and well. Today we'll be hearing from United States Senator Bob Casey, who is standing up and speaking out about the abuse against children and calling on Congress to join him in this fight. After the senator, we will hear from Jennifer Selber, Executive Deputy Attorney General from the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General. We'll also hear remarks from two child advocates, Abby Newman from Mission Kids Child Advocacy Center and the Pennsylvania chapter of CACs, and Donna Cooper from Public Citizens for Children and Youth, or PCCY. Senator Bob Casey.
Frank, thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. First, I want to thank Frank for his willingness to be an MC today and to do that work, but especially for his years of service to the people of our state and the important work of protecting our children. To use a line from Scripture, laboring in that vineyard for a long, long time. And I'm grateful for his advocacy. I'm grateful for his guidance as we put this legislation together. The first draft of it many years ago, back in, I guess, 2011. But unfortunately, this legislation I'll talk about is still relevant today. I wish it were not. I wish we would not have to introduce this kind of legislation, but we do. But I'm grateful for Frank and his leadership. I want to thank Executive Deputy Attorney General Jennifer Selber for her presence here and for being with us. Abby Newman from Mission Kids, thank you, Abby, for taking the time to be here and for your advocacy. And Donna Cooper, someone I've known a long time who's done great work on behalf of the children of Philadelphia and indeed the children of our Commonwealth in her work now at PCCY. The grand jury report was a chronicle of pure evil. Pure evil, there's no other way to say it. It was a catalog of crimes, and we have to keep using that word because that's what it was, a catalog of crimes committed by adults who preyed on the powerless. Children who, and young people who would have trusted a member of the clergy, and they preyed on those children. If that wasn't bad enough, all the while there were not just years, but literally decades of cover-up by powerful people who could have stopped the abuse, instance after instance. So to say that I'm angry about this and outraged about it is an understatement. We should all be angry. You don't have to be a Catholic. You don't even have to be an American. Just as a human being, we should be angry. And that anger and that outrage has to motivate and drive our actions to prevent this from ever happening again. There's lots of work to do on this, but I'm grateful for the work of those who served on the grand jury, grateful for the work of Attorney General Josh Shapiro and his team, today represented by Jennifer. We would not be moving forward with the kind of corrective action were it not for their good work and those who served with them. We have to approach this issue, I think, as not just one nation. My legislation will speak, or will focus on the nation itself, but we've got to speak as one family. This is about the American family and whether or not we're going to protect the most vulnerable members. Frank has been advocating for these kinds of changes for years and has been successful in bringing about change here in Pennsylvania. But we need on some of these issues a national standard. So as one nation, as one family, we must act to prevent abuse like that that was set forth in the report. So what do? Well, we can at least do two things by way of federal law. And this, frankly, is existing law. We have already a statute passed a number of years ago that is designed to protect children and help states do it, the so-called CAPTA legislation, or I should say CAPTA policy. That's legislation that this new legislation we've introduced will in fact amend. So the bill is named the Speak Up to Protect Every Abused Kids Act. We just for short, to shorten it, to the Speak Up Act, to ensure that no matter what state a child lives in, he or she will have the same level of protection from abuse. This act addresses child abuse in three important ways. First, it sets that federal standard, the federal standard for who must be a so-called mandated reporter, the individuals in our community who are legally required to report suspected child abuse. So we want to make sure that in essence, that list of mandated reporters gets longer than it is now across the nation. Second, the bill requires that these mandated reporters make the report directly to the appropriate state authorities, such as Child Protective Services or law enforcement itself. It would no longer be permissible to say, quote, I told my boss, I told my head coach, I told my bishop. That's not enough. That's not good enough. And we can't just allow that reporting and then leave it to the person above them to in fact do the report itself. So federal standard number one. Number two, to make the report directly to state authorities. And number three, the bill would provide support for education and training so that mandated reporters understand their obligations and are trained to recognize signs of abuse and signs of neglect. We all believe, as human beings, as Americans, that every adult has a moral obligation to make a report when they suspect that a child is being abused, even if they don't have a legal obligation. We believe they have a moral obligation. But there are certain adults, because of the positions they're in, whether they're healthcare providers or teachers or school workers or members of the clergy or camp counselors or coaches or the like, they have a particular obligation. They have, under our system, a particular responsibility by virtue of the trust that our community has placed in them to care for and to protect children. So this legislation, the Speak Up Act, actually amends the existing policy under CAPTA. We just had some good news yesterday with regard to CAPTA. We got $10 million more for state grants, just by way of the Senate votes yesterday in the United States Senate. Now, we still have to get the House to pass it, but as part of that larger appropriations bill that dealt with a whole range of issues, I put in an amendment, and I worked with Senator Todd Young from Indiana to get that amendment accepted. So that means if the House passes the overall legislation, which I think they will, we'll have $10 million more for those state grants. But funding is but one of the challenges we face. We have to make this a substantial priority for the United States Congress, for the administration, and for every one of our 50 states. We cannot allow this kind of abuse to ever happen again. We've got to use this grand jury report and the reporting from around the country over several years now to not just speak up, but to act. Thanks very much.
Those of us who work in child advocacy and family advocacy, working in the vineyards, know that Bob Casey is the leading voice in the United States Congress on these issues. As well, his work on behalf of veterans, on behalf of the homeless, on behalf of children and their needs for education, and their future needs for job security are all important parts of that vineyard. Thank you, Senator, for your tremendous leadership and good work. Next, we invite Jennifer Selber to the podium. Jennifer is the Executive Deputy Attorney General in charge of the Criminal Division at the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General. She serves as head of the Criminal Division, where, among other very important jobs, she oversaw the work of her wonderful colleagues, diligent colleagues in that tremendous, impressive, and compelling work of the grand jury report that you're going to hear about. She works under the leadership of Attorney General Josh Shapiro, who has lent a laboring oar to this work and tremendous advocacy and leadership to make it possible that we can talk about these issues on the national arena. Jen previously served as a prosecutor in Philadelphia, including as chief of homicide, where she led the important work on juvenile life without parole reform, and she and I work closely in that work, along with many others in our work. Jennifer Selber.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, and it's an honor for me to be here with such esteemed guests and people that have worked so long and so hard to protect children, our most important asset in Pennsylvania and across the country and indeed the world. My name is Jennifer Selber. I'm the Executive Deputy Attorney General. I run the Criminal Division for Josh Shapiro in the Office of Attorney General, and thank you for having me here today. The Office of Attorney General has long been charged with protecting children. We have a child predator section where all of the lawyers and agents and staff work diligently to put an end to online child pornography. They also seek out predators that are soliciting children online for their own sexual ends. And to Senator Casey's point, unfortunately, we've made a number of arrests of people in positions of power and trust over children, which I think is an important point that we want to drive home today. Of course, we've also recently had the grand jury report, but I want to back up a little bit. Before that, the Office of Attorney General prosecuted Penn State football coach Jerry Sandusky for his serial pedophilia, and beyond that, prosecuted 3 administrators that were supervisors of Jerry Sandusky and who looked the other way rather than doing their duty and putting a stop to child sexual abuse. But of course, Penn State is not the only powerful institution where this is a problem. And the latest grand jury report from the Office of Attorney General, which covered 6 dioceses in Pennsylvania over many, many years, showed over 1,000 child victims of sexual abuse at the hands of over 300 predator priests, and a widespread cover-up where priests were moved from parish to parish and no one was the wiser, left to offend and reoffend. And one of the issues with these types of offenses is these are not people that are going to offend once. So if a supervisor or a person in a...
Hello again, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. Want to get you out to some live video just coming into us. This is a building fire, reported as a building fire or smoke from the roof of the IKEA in Plymouth Meeting. Skyfox is over the scene. You can see some smoke coming from perhaps an air conditioning unit, some type of device on the roof of the building there. Looks like fire crews have this well under control. Again, we're hearing this is on the 400 block of Allenwood Road, the IKEA. Looks like a unit on the roof there was having some difficulty, blackened a bit, smoke coming from it. Again, this is the IKEA on Allenwood Road in Plymouth Township, Plymouth Meeting, Montgomery County. Hearing that a call came in around 10:30 for smoke coming from the roof. You can see there, it looks like the fire crews have this generally under control. Happy to report that. Let's get you back to the news conference being held by Senator Casey and others, talking about a Child Abuse Protection Act. Let's take you there right now.
Senator Casey for asking me to be here today. As Frank just said, I am the CEO of Mission Kids Child Advocacy Center of Montgomery County. I'm also on the executive committee and an officer of the Pennsylvania chapter of Child Advocacy Centers, which supports the work of the 39 child advocacy centers and more to come across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Between 1 in 5 and 1 in 10 children are going to be sexually abused, as far as we know, before the age of 18. Child abuse occurs in every zip code, every race, and every ethnicity. Montgomery County is multicultural. We are diverse in terms of economics, and we receive reports at Mission Kids. The 4,000 children that we have served since 2009 have come from every area of our county. And child predators are not strangers to children. 90% of the time, the child knows their abuser. Child abusers groom their victims, taking the time to make sure that the child gets comfortable with increasing levels of touch. Predators are often upstanding members of the community who manipulate the adults in the community, as well as those children, so that adults have a hard time in believing, if a child reports that they were sexually abused, that this incredible, wonderful person in their community could do such a heinous and terrible act. Consequently, we think that only 10% of child sexual abuse cases are ever reported, which would be borne out by the grand jury report which was recently released. And thank you to Attorney General Shapiro and his staff in your office as well for all of that work. Predators are smart. They put themselves in situations to be with children. And it's not only the predators in the recent Attorney General report, Jerry Sandusky, the Penn State child sex abuse cases, Dr. Larry Nassar with the child athletes. And that's why Senator Casey's bill is so important for this reporting across the United States. In communities that have a child advocacy center or a CAC like Mission Kids, or the Philadelphia Children's Alliance in Philadelphia, or NOVA in Bucks County, systems work together so that it is a better system for the child if a report is made. So people that may have in their mind, oh my God, it's awful if we report this for the child, it's not awful. Child advocacy centers bring the systems together. The goal is to have one recorded interview done by a specially trained forensic interviewer. His job is to ask neutral and age-appropriate questions so that the child can tell their story in their own words. Team members made up of police, prosecutors, and social workers work together, watch the interview together, and it's better for their individual investigations. And most importantly, it's better for the child and benefits the child. Child advocacy centers also make referrals for specialized medical and mental health services. After the investigation into how Jerry Sandusky could have abused so many boys over many years while being a respected member of his community, the Pennsylvania Task Force on Child Protection, and I'm really thrilled Dr. Cindy Christian is here today, who was a member of that task force who works so hard. They said, the strongest argument for the use of a multidisciplinary team approach like a CAC to these investigations is simply that it creates inescapable transparency and accountability for all players in the child protective system, requiring them to perform their duties in a timely and thorough way. When the task force made its report in 2012, there were 7,000 children seen for allegations of sexual abuse at CACs across Pennsylvania. Then, Pennsylvania strengthened our mandated reporting laws in 2014 to include the individuals that Senator Casey has put into his legislation and then some, and we increased the number of child advocacy centers. The results are staggering. In 2017, there were 12,504 children seen at CACs, a 76% increase. For survivors speaking about their abuse at a place like a CAC or an adult now who could come forward is the first step towards healing. The results that we have seen in Pennsylvania should be the norm across the United States, and evidences the need for mandatory reporting standards like those proposed by Senator Casey for all children. Finally, I also noted, Senator, that part of your legislation is a proposal to ensure that states are also screening for domestic violence when investigating suspected child abuse. This is so important. The more victimization that is suffered in childhood, the more likelihood that a child victim will become an adult victim of abuse. In the Netherlands, it's now found that if parents are in a situation of an acrimonious divorce that goes on for longer than 2 years, that is now considered a form of child abuse because of the trauma that is caused to the child. Children whose mothers who are strangled living in domestic violence situations have a higher likelihood of being victims of strangulation. And what we also know from these reports is that sometimes there are no marks from the strangulation. There could be a result of oxygen deprivation to the brain. Child acts out in school. It's thought that it's because of the home situation when actually there might be some brain damage. And babies who live in situations of domestic violence are found to retain vulgar terminology more quickly when they learn to speak. Mission Kids is working closely with our domestic violence shelter, Laurel House, and our prosecution and police partners to reach children living in situations of domestic violence. We applaud Senator Casey for this proactive viewpoint and fully support all of his efforts to reach these most vulnerable and hidden victims. Thank you, Senator Casey, for all of your hard work on all of these issues.
Thank you, Abby. Donna Cooper has always been a champion for kids. She spent her life seeking improvement to early childhood education as the building block of child development. In her 8 years as the leading voice of policy and planning in the Rendell administration, she championed reform and vision in education, public benefits, environmental, and healthcare policy statewide. She leads Public Citizens for Children and Youth, one of our region's leading child advocacy organizations. PCCY influences government and the entire community by combining useful research, practical, solution-oriented policy recommendations with the mobilization of citizens who work effectively on behalf of children and families. Donna Cooper.
Thank you, Senator Casey, for holding this press conference today on the importance of passing the Speak Up Act. In the grand jury report, one of the things that really troubled me was that a Harrisburg priest began fondling a baby at 18 months and continued to abuse that child till she was 12 years old. During the release of the report, that woman, now an adult, had panic attacks and throughout the process of coming forward, attempted suicide. Her abuse as a child will plague her life, as it plagues the many other survivors of childhood abuse. The report also talked about a district attorney in Beaver County, Robert Masters, who reported the report of abuse to him in Beaver County to the bishop in Pittsburgh, and basically said, we're going to halt the investigations. So no charges were brought forward. And the report, the Attorney General's report concludes, had that district attorney acted, the abuse of children in that diocese by that priest would have happened sooner. The Speak Up Act seeks to stop that kind of collusive behavior in its tracks. When the report was released, one of the victims said, "It was our word against God." 37 priests in Allentown, 41 in Erie, 20 in Greensburg, 45 in Harrisburg, 99 in Pittsburgh, 59 in Scranton. We all know that the Catholic Church is a very large and revered institution, but it is not big enough that it would not have known that these priests were abusing children. The Speak Up Act would mandate clergy who know that children are being abused to report that abuse. I actually think, Senator, that there's a little bit of confusion in Congress right now about the term collusion. And this may be a place where you could find unity about the fact that we must stop at least this collusive behavior that is sacrificing the lives of our children. When the senator began this work many years ago, the Sandusky trial was underway. And one of the victims in the Sandusky trial said as a child, he told me that if I ever told anyone that I would never see anyone in my family again. Those threats are common from abusers. The witness in the Sandusky trial said, I screamed in the basement as he abused me, but everybody pretended they didn't hear me. The Speak Up Act would make it required that people who observe, hear, believe a child who is being abused must be reported. Trembling children, children who now hate themselves as adults, children who disassociate and fail to connect with relationships, children who grow up abused and then become abusers. These are the children we are here for today. These are the children that Senator Casey's bill can save. These children tell us we have a hole in our soul for the rest of our lives, and healing is impossible. Those words have to touch us each deeply. And I think that they do. And one of the brilliant aspects of the Speak Up Act is it doesn't simply mandate reporting, it recognizes that collusion and denial are at the root of this problem. And it says that states will get resources to break through that denial, to educate people to understand not just what the signs are, but that by acting we can save children's lives. So Public Citizens for Children and Youth, and I know that the community of children in this state want to see the Speak Act supported. We not only, Senator Casey, want to thank you for putting this act forward. We want to ask Senator Toomey to join you as a co-sponsor, and all the senators who right now are looking for a solution to collusion in America to act on behalf of children.
Thank you, Donna. What are the lessons of our time together this morning? First, that our nation's child protection laws and practices are a sorry patchwork, a protective blanket with some big, drafty holes. Pennsylvania has made some real progress in closing those holes, both in accountability and its investigative practice. CACs have become state-of-the-art here. Reporting out to the authorities instead of only in-house to your superiors has become the law. Screening for commercial sexual exploitation is now happening in every county in the state. Holding organizations accountable. To the rest of the nation, follow Pennsylvania's lead. Second, we can close the gaps on reporting, on jurisdictional responsibility, and in screening for domestic violence. The Speak Up Act presents a modest but important set of standards for national assurance that we are protecting our young people. Congress should act now to get it done. Third, while child sexual abuse and exploitation so often gain attention, incidents of physical abuse and severe child neglect are way more numerous and can be just as devastating. All forms of child abuse and neglect need to be part of the conversation on prevention, on practice improvement, and investment of resources. And the Speak Up Act addresses all of those forms of abuse. Finally, we have to know that child abuse lives in the secret corners of our lives. Our lives, all of us, rich and poor, red and blue, white and black and brown. And so all of us are invited, indeed compelled, to respond. Let us all shed light on those dark corners to give our children the bright futures they deserve. This concludes the speaking program. The Senator and others here will be available to answer your questions from the press. Thank you for coming out today, and let's continue to protect our children.
Thanks. Paul Ruppel again here with Fox 29 News Now. You've been watching Senator Casey presenting a bill that he hopes will earn passage. It's called the Speak Up to Protect Every Abused Kid Act. He's demanding a Congress vote and swiftly pass that measure. While we were in that, there was some breaking news that crossed. I want to get that to you right now. Meghan McCain, the daughter of U.S. Senator from Arizona, John McCain, former presidential candidate, has disclosed that her father has ended his treatment. I'll read you the tweet here in full. My family is deeply appreciative of all the love and generosity you have shown us during the past year. Thank you for all of your continued support and prayers. We could not have made it this far without you. You've given us strength to carry on. Now that tweet was accompanied by a statement from the senator's office, which I'll read for you right now. The McCain family released the following statement today. Quote, last summer, Senator John McCain shared with Americans the news our family already knew. He had been diagnosed with an aggressive glioblastoma, and the prognosis was serious. In the years since, John has surpassed expectations for his survival. But the progress of disease and the inexorable advance of age render their verdict. With his usual strength of will, he has now chosen to discontinue medical treatment. Our family is immensely grateful for the support and kindness of all his caregivers over the last year, and for the continuing outpouring of concern and affection from John's many friends and associates, and the many thousands of people who are keeping him in their prayers. God bless and thank you all. Again, that is a tweet from the daughter of U.S. Senator John McCain, who announced today, his office announced today, that he is ending medical treatment for his cancer that he has been fighting. This is file footage of Senator John McCain. There's the tweet again from his daughter. Again, the news that we just provided to you, the breaking news. The McCain family has released a statement saying that Senator John McCain has been battling an aggressive glioblastoma, excuse me, my pronunciation there, glioblastoma, and a serious prognosis, has announced that he has ended medical treatment. And to quote his daughter, Meghan McCain announced in a tweet, my family is deeply appreciative of all the love and generosity you have shown us during this past year. Thank you for all your continued support and prayers. We could not have made it this far without you. You've given us strength to carry on. We'll continue to bring you reports on the senator's medical condition as they come in. We'll have more for you tonight on the Fox 29 News at 5, 6, 10, and 11. Again, Senator John McCain has ended his medical treatment for cancer that he has been suffering from and battling. His daughter issued a statement, or his family issued a statement from the senator's press office. His daughter followed that with a tweet thanking all of the senator's friends for their love and generosity during the past year. Let's take another look at Hurricane Lane. As we've been on, we also learned that the hurricane has now been reduced to a Category 2 storm, which was expected. See, the icon has changed there on the display. Central Pacific Hurricane Center says that Hurricane Lane is now a Category 2 storm with sustained winds of 110 miles per hour. Looks like the pressure's dropped a little. I think it was in the 980s before. It's 962, so pressure dropped, but winds died down a little. Winds at 110 miles per hour, movement north at 5 miles per hour. Might be wrong about the pressure there, but definitely now a Category 2 storm with 110 mile per hour sustained winds. I hope the people of Hawaii who are still batting down and weathering the storm here are okay, and the flooding from the torrential downpours subsides soon for them. We're going to step away for a moment and send you on a tour of our weather cameras, get a look at conditions around the region. Paul Ruppel again here with you. I realized we had not finished the segment with our Hank Flynn, who was out at Eastern State Penitentiary this morning. Let's show you that so you have the information on how to participate if you want to be a part of the scaring that occurs over at the pen as the Halloween and fall season
For
unfolds.
a clean face, where we can see your face, we want to see who's auditioning.
Right. All right, so they want to see what you look like when you come to audition. And how many people is it you all going to have here entertaining the public? It's a massive production.
Yeah, so here at Around the Walls, we have 300 actors.
300?
300. We have about 200 per night that get in costume and makeup. So we have a huge production here.
All right, let me try this one more time.
Ah!
Now, see,
Perfect,
that worked.
perfect, Hank. That's a thank. That was amazing.
Tara behind the walls, Eastern State Penitentiary. It's never too soon to start Halloween season. Let's get it on.
You have to wear that makeup home for your wife.
And the kids, the boys, they will go
Oh,
crazy.
yes.
It is so scary. Hank, you're the best.
You
We love
start
it.
scares all afternoon.
It's hard. We went there. It was you, me, and Bob Kelly, and Alex was the one that did it.
Alex?
Horrified.
She was horrified. We had to force her to go in there. Remember that?
I do. I do.
It's probably where she lost her voice. She was screaming so hard. By the way, she's doing very well. Just keep taking care of her voice, staying quiet. By the way, she texts me every day and says, "This is hard." Because people
She'll
want
be
to
back
talk to her.
soon. She's so cute.
Yeah,
You can see her out enjoying some stuff.
Melissa McCarthy.
So again, a fun moment there from Good Day Philadelphia this morning where Hank Flynn was out at the Eastern State Penitentiary. They're going to be holding auditions there for performers for some of the scaring that occurs as the haunted tours and other events are held over the next. We got about 2 months and a week till Halloween. Let's bring you 2 breaking news stories. We'll recap one that we told you about earlier. Here comes that. Again, Senator John McCain has chosen to end medical treatment as he continues to battle cancer. The news came in part from a tweet from his daughter. And her family is deeply appreciative of all the love and generosity you've shown us during the past year. And let's show you also a statement from the McCain family. The McCain family released the following statement today. Last summer, Senator John McCain shared with Americans the news our family already knew. He had been diagnosed with an aggressive glioblastoma, and the prognosis was serious. In the year since, John has surpassed expectations for his survival, but the progress of disease and the inexorable advance of age render their verdict. With his usual strength of will, he has now chosen to discontinue medical treatment. Our family is immensely grateful for the support and kindness of all his caregivers over the last year and for the continuing outpouring of concern and affection from John's many friends and associates and the many thousands of people who are keeping him in their prayers. That was the breaking news a short while ago, and we'll bring you one more. This came in that Robin Leach, the host of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, has died at the age of 76. Fox News tweeted this out perhaps about 15 minutes ago, maybe a little longer than that. But Robin Leach, the famous host of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, a TV icon, has passed away at the age of 76. Thank you very much for watching Fox 29 News Now. Hope you have a great weekend. Get outside, enjoy that beautiful weather. Here's a shot of the conditions out in Cape May. The shot looks still at the moment. Let's see if we can get you the moving version of that. It must be stuck. We'll get you. Here's Ocean City, New Jersey at the moment. Surrey's still on the boardwalk. I think they have another half hour, and the bicyclists. As I was saying, thank you very much for watching Fox 29 News Now. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.